Hi, welcome to the GF channel. Today's episode will be a little bit different as I'm not in the car since there is this coronavirus and no stores are working. I cannot get my parts, so I decided I'm going to just make a video how to use the Mazda EPC or electronic parts catalog, how to install multiple versions of it, how to run it under Linux, how to change settings for higher DPI displays, and last but not least, how to run it on an Android phone or tablet. Okay, so let's go from the top. This is how it looks like. I'm running it on Linux since I'm a Linux user. It runs fine under Wine. It could look a little bit ugly because of that, but it does the job. Now, there are many functions. I'm going to show you what I use. Maybe there is something more, but many of the things like this section number called jobs and etc. I do not use at all. License plate, this customer name, this is pointless to me. First thing as a user that I did when I actually learned about that, I didn't use it to search for parts with it, but I use it to get info about the car. So you're going to buy a second-hand car and you want to actually see when it was manufactured, because when they sell it to you, they actually tell you the date when it was first registered, but it's actually different from when it was manufactured. So here I have a VIN number which I got from the junkyard when I was getting the double lock into my car, because I was searching for a double lock, and the EPC actually shows if that car has or do not have a double lock. If you do not know what double lock is, I have a video about that. Okay, so let's start. Here you input the VIN number. It's split into two parts for some reason. Okay, hit enter, and it actually shows you that this is a 626 GW. It's diesel. Displacement is 2000 cubic centimeters, manual transmission, etc. etc. And now you go here and hit this, whatever it means, AIC button, and you get here the production date. You can see it's 1998 August 20th. You can see the exterior cover here, which is also a good thing, because you can actually see it also here, but whenever you have to paint your car, you can see here the original cover anyhow, if it was not changed. Not much else you can see from here. Now you place your VIN number in the EPC, and you want to find a certain part. There are multiple ways to do that. You can search or you can use graphics. I'm first going to go with the graphics way. Now you choose whatever you want to search for. So there is this rubber thingy that I recently changed in my car. Whenever it's on the lift gate, and whenever I slam it, it actually slams pretty hard, and it turns out there are two rubbers that one of them went missing in my case at some point of time, so I had to actually go and find the replacement from the junkyard. Since I do not know where, I know it's in the body, but I actually select all, because then you can switch them from here. And here you can see, as images are not great, but they're sufficient. In my case, maybe it's exterior trim, so I go here. You can see everything exterior, and I see lift gate here. I double click here. This shows me the lift gate disassembled. Of course, this is for station wagon, which it's not my car, but I already typed this number, so I'm going to just use it. I don't see here any rubbers, so we go back and we have only for lift gate. And here on the lift gate, this is the thing I'm interested in. There are two of them, this one and this one, these two, and they go with that number. So I have it here, the same number. Now they do show it here with dashes, but whenever we are using a search, the search doesn't accept the dashes. With the dashes it becomes too long, and the search is limited to a number of characters. So I'm going to copy this because I want to see in which other models, Mazda models, I can find exactly the same thing. Now you can previously you see this it remembers my previous selection. So if I go back and I choose anything else, now it remembers whatever I was. You can go back, or you can just hit top. Now the search here by part number or name is going to be limited to this model only. To fix that, we need to start fresh. To start fresh, you don't need to exit and then enter again. You use this clear screen. Whenever you hit that button, you start fresh. You can start by model name, and here you can see all the models. So without a VIN number, you can still go and type it. So let me actually show you. I can find the same thing if I know it was Gomet. Okay, I'll leave that for a later point with the search, because I have exactly a way to show you something cool. Now the part number, I import the part number. Keep in mind, usually the last letter is material or something. You could go without it. And once I hit enter or search button, it gives me a list with all the models that do have this part number in them. And this gives me a pretty good idea that I can actually go and search all the 626 GF and GW, as well as 323BA, which is the sedan, and the F, which is the hatchback, but the hatchback only after 1996. So I went to the junkyard, of course, and I picked it up from a GW. Problem solved. But this gave me the nice idea, which is also an interesting thing, which you can see now. If I just, let's say I choose my GF and I search for filter, and I'm interested in the oil filter for the gasoline. This is the oil filter. Now let's save the you cannot copy, that's the stupid part. B6 Y1 14 302A, and you are going to be surprised by the next thing. I clear again, I search the part number, and look at the scroll bar. All of those are using the same oil filter, and even the latest Mazda 3 BM and BN from 2016 still uses that oil filter. And the earliest model you can find 94, 89 yeah, pretty much 89. So from 1999 and still being used, this oil filter. Cool, huh? Okay, so I've showed you how to see your car details. By the way, here in this CD information menu, you can see up to which year you have for your car. So if your car is manufactured after that, sorry, it's not going to be in this. And this is only for Europe currently. and you can see all of those defects here. This is because of Wine, Linux thing only, not Windows, don't worry. So searching by text, and that's the interesting part. So let's go choose the GF, and I want to find my door lock unit. So I go here and I say lock and search. This actually searches everything with lock, which is quite a lot. We are only interested in this door lock unit, gasoline. And it actually shows me the door lock unit, and it shows that there are two options: with super lock system or without super lock system. And that super lock is actually the double lock feature. So this module needs to be changed if you're going to upgrade. That's what I did. And now you can see there are two, but if you actually go here, clear the screen, and I'm actually going to show you another functionality. It's the history, which shows you what you have done previously. Choose the one with the double lock. Now all the searches are filtered with only that car in mind. If I go, you're going to see that unit door lock, it's only one. Previously these were two because it didn't know if it's a gasoline or diesel. Now it knows it's a diesel, and it shows it. And you can see now here it shows that that car went out of the out of Japan with double lock, because it says with super lock system and power door lock. Now if you do see this match on is checked, if I remove the check, it is actually going to grow the list of things and items in them and show you things that do not match this vehicle. So if you see now, there are two additional ones. Apparently the station wagon came with additional door lock unit timer, and you can see the differences. Usually this is with power door lock, without the double lock, and without an alarm. This one, which is installed, has a power door lock and has a double lock, and there is additional one which is with power door lock, without double lock, and with alarm. So pretty much you do not have the combination of everything to have everything. Always something is missing. Okay, I believe that pretty much covers all the usages. You can zoom, you can do, actually here you can do stuff also. You can zoom like that and zooms it in, then hit the 100% to zoom out. Switch from here if you have selected multiple things. So here you can select multiple things. If you're not sure what you want, hit the OK, and then they will be here to switch between them. And that's pretty much it. That's how to use it. Now, how to install it. With Linux it's actually easy, because you have, here's my installation, sorry. With Linux it's easy because you do have Wine, and with Wine you could just have different prefixes and install different versions, no problems. Of course that leads to excessive disk usage, but it works. Now on Windows and on Linux you could do the same, of course. What you need to do first is, of course, mount the ISO file. I'm using the Mazda General, which is not for Europe, it's for Asian, but it's in English, so it's outside of Japan but still in Asia, because that's what I have on this computer with the installation anyhow. So you mount always A1, this is the starting point. You go to the Mazda EPC, and here you should find installer. If I search install, yes, EPC install, this one. You just double click it, it runs the installer. Now this is in wine. Here you can change if you want the EPC, so I'll call it EPC G because it's general. This is part of the multi-install that I'm going to speak about later on. Just next. And on wine, for some reason, it just stucks. The way you fix it is you install it again. It should be fine. I believe that's not under Windows, doesn't happen. Just under Linux. Just double install it. Second time it actually goes fine. Or maybe they upgraded the wine and it's not fine anyhow. Okay, so I say that I want a standalone version, and my files will be stored in here. So I go next, shows this dialog, and I know that in the general I have it went way too far. That's the disk that I opened. Okay. So I know I have A1, B1 and B2 as disks, and here I'll add B2 because it's missing, and actually copy this one and place it here. You need to actually set the country. It's mandatory, don't know why. You do not need backup usually. English, paper size, you do your adjustments. And now when I hit OK, it is going to start importing the data from the disks. Because I have A1 already in place in the disk, it starts copying all the files. Now this is good to have on an SSD because it's fast, as you can see. On a hard drive it's going to be very slow. And now it says please insert the B1. So I eject this one, I mount it, the B1, and I hit OK, and it continues copying files. And insert B2, eject, mount, I say OK. Keep in mind these steps are all good for Windows. Pretty much with Wine nothing is different. And that's it. Now if I search for Mazda, I won't find anything because Wine doesn't create shortcuts. But if I go to my Wine, so this is my old Wine repo on drive C, there is the Mazda G, and in the bin there is a Mazda EPC .exe. I can simply open that, and this is it. As you can see, it's a brand new one, doesn't have any history, nothing has actually changed. Now here the fun part starts. How to do multiple installations. First things first, you do need to back up this folder. Just rename it because you do need to uninstall EPC, and you do need this file in the Windows folder, this ini file. This is very important. You also do this. Then uninstall. I'm not going to show you the whole procedure because it's a slow procedure. Then you uninstall, and then you install the new version you want. So let's say Europe. This is going to again create this window, this Mazda EPC.ini file in the Windows folder, and another folder here. You call it Mazda E, for instance. What you want to do is every time you are going to launch a version, so you want to launch this version, which is the G1, before running the exe file, you want to choose the proper file. So maybe name this G, then you need to copy it and just name it like that, so you don't lose your original one. And here, if you have multiple versions, you can have Mazda EPCE or EPCG or EPCJ for Japan, etc, etc. You just choose the proper one, because in it, if you see, it points to the proper folders and proper disks, this A1, B1 and B2. This will make multiple versions work. So afterwards you create a file. If you see, I have lots of EPCs because on Linux is quite easy, but I have file which just goes and calls this one with wine. If I'm going to actually create multiple versions, here I do copy before that into Drive C, Windows, copy the proper file for this version of the EPC, and that fixes multiple version issue that many people have. Okay, now I'm actually going to uninstall. I'll uninstall it later. Here, as you can see, that Mazda is actually coming from this this part here, which comes with a whole prefix and everything. So we're going to talk about HiDPI. The HiDPI is a problem because you could actually go and say I want higher DPI. Do not need this one anymore. So many folders, I get lost myself. So here I run wine config for this wine here, and I'm going to say that I want the DPI to be higher, 196, let's say. Okay, and now when I start it, you can see it looks the same. Only this dialog is huge because it's a system one, and this menu here, it's huge, but everything else, it's normal. It doesn't actually get the DPI setting. It doesn't read it or anything. So to fix that, we need this thing called Resource Hacker. It's a free program, again Windows program, with which you can open exe files and DLLs and do stuff with them. Now I want to open the file, and you can see here lots of things, and let's say I'm going to change the CD info dialog. In that dialog you can actually see the caption, you can see the size of the dialog, you can see what things it has, the close button, the list of things in it, everything. I should warn you, it's pretty hard to do the HiDPI because it's a lot of manual work for every single dialog. So in here, let's open the dialog. You can see the history button is here, so I'm just going to do it bigger now, so it covers the history button and also increase the font size. There's one interesting thing though. I'll do a change here, CD information 2, hit play, so it compiles the script, and then hit save, so it saves the file. If I now open Mazda, it is not going to say CD information 2. This is because we have translation files, and this original file was created by the resource hacker, and here we need to remove the translation. Just rename it translation file, English translation, since we are using the English version. This is going to remove the translations, not only the translations, but the whole thing. Sorry, this whole thing, this RC data is repeated within that file. So not only this is not being read, but this is not being read. Nothing is being read. No positions, no sizes, no font size, nothing. So now, after I removed the file, if I restart the EPC and show the CD information, you can see it says CD information 2, because now it reads whatever is inside of the exe file. So let's go back, remove this, let's double the size of the window width only, because it's easy to do math for this one. And I want to increase the font size. Now, it doesn't say anywhere font size, but you can still do that. You can do font.size equals, let's say 22, compile, save. Now I open the Mazda EPC and I open up that dialog. You can see it's way bigger on width and font is huge. Of course, now you need to do proper font size, not random like that. Then you need to expand this, then you need to move the button down to the rabbit hole. And this is a simple dialog. There are a lot more complicated dialogues which will take a lot of time to do. So just, I don't know, use magnifier, something like that for this software if you are on a HiDPI display. So let me go back, revert my changes because I do not want them like that. This was 2, 3, 2. Compile and save, and I can close this one now. And I forgot to close the Mazda EPC, and now I edited it while it's working. And I cannot close it. All kinds of errors, so sorry about that. I need to kill it. Okay, and it's dead. Okay, so we are slowly getting to the point where we are about to, let me just change these originals, see if it Mazda still works. All fine, this is fine. Yeah, maybe fix my DPI setting. Okay, and now things are back to normal. Okay, so slowly we are actually going to the point where we are installing things on Android. And on Android we have little resources, and we have it's better to actually have as little size as possible of the EPC and image and everything. Now you can close this. You can see, where was it? and I'm already lost in my own things. First things first, in here I have this bin folder and this bin.min folder. This is the original one. This I have minified. The original folder is 44.5 megabytes. The minified folder is only 2.6 megabytes, and it still works. So if I go and underscore this one, and I do this one, when I go and open up Mazda, it opens up. Now it doesn't have a logo because I removed even that from it, but it works. So let me go back. Is it a normal one? Because I want it normal, of course. So the way it works is, first I've removed all unnecessary files. These files which you see are the only necessary files, at least for wine installation. I've also reduced this logo JPEG, which apparently is needed for something. I reduced it to the minimum of 280 bytes, and I've compressed the executable files. So you can see this one is 600 and something kilobytes, while the original EPC executable is, where is it? Here it is. It's 2.5 megabytes. So basically the whole min folder is a little bit bigger than original executable file. This I did by using this UPX. Now UPX is a utility, here it is, which can compress DLLs and exe files and also Linux resources, but in this case we're interested only in Windows resources. It compresses them, and whenever you execute them it uses more memory. So it's up to you to decide, do you want to spend more memory, more RAM on your Android device but less disk space, or keep the disk space and use less memory. I of course prefer to have less memory, because I'm going to use a ultra low power device which doesn't have that much memory, and the fact that you won't actually get more than 50 megabytes in total of savings with all the approaches. The second approach is to actually strip some tags from the TIFF files. TIFF files are all the images that you saw of things being disassembled earlier. This is the command you run under Linux in the same folder, so in EPC, so here in this folder, just run that command. It's going to go find all the TIFF files and strip. These are the results from the strip, which actually runs pretty slow, like I left it overnight to finish. This also is too slow, by the way, that's why I don't show it to you live, because it tries every single algorithm and finds the best size, and only for this one takes minutes, and there are multiples that you need to do. This one takes overnight, and as you can see, these are the savings for in megabytes for each folder, and that's the total. So overnight you're going to save only 2.4 megabytes. Of course this won't lead to any increase in memory usage, and it's a one-liner, so let's say only time is lost initially. It's not bad to have. Then what you need to do after you have installed the on a Windows machine, after you have installed EPC, you need to open the registry editor, and you need to go to local machine, software and Borland. and export that borland.reg. I'm going to export it because I already have it prepared, and here is everything I need. So copy it to a folder, the borland.reg. Go grab the Mazda EPC from your Windows folder. Go and copy the whole Mazda EPC folder which you need, and you need to grab the Borland folder from the program files. So if you go to the program files, there's a Borland folder there. Copy all of those to a single folder, new folder, and this is the Mazda version which you want, which in my case is European version. You minify, you do whatever you want. In the end, you need a folder with those 4 things, because we are going to create an ISO out of these. Now under Windows there are programs, under Linux also there are programs, but Linux power is in the command line. This is the utility that I'm using. Just paste it. It will create an ISO file out of this folder. It's quite fast, and now I have this ISO file in here. It's 1.7 gigabytes, holds my EPC, all of it. Next thing, it's very important, we need to create a virtual machine. Under there is currently this thing called Hangover, which is supposed to run Windows applications under Android, but it's not yet finished. It's very unstable, it's unusable, so we are stuck with virtual machine. We actually do need to use virtual machine for this thing. So what I'm going to do is open up a virtual machine. It's important to create a virtual machine which has a QEMU file format, this one, QEMU, the hard drive anyhow. What we need as a CD-ROM or install, now I've tested with Linux and then with Wine inside of the Linux, and to run the Mazda in Wine inside of Linux inside of virtual machine. It didn't happen. The Wine doesn't want to boot at all. It's too slow. It's just too slow. So I ended up with using Windows XP ultralight version, which is called Micro. Where is it? So many files. MicroXP 0.8, which I saved from once upon a time. I'm supposed to say the operating system, since it doesn't have Windows XP, just generic. As for the memory, if you want to be safe, do 64. You could go as low as 48 megabytes of memory, but even for that low-end device that I'm going to use, 64 is totally fine. It's really every Android application probably uses more. As for the disk, 1.2 gigabytes, more than enough. Forward, name Mazda EPC2, and I want to configure it before install. It's important to configure it because I really want the CPU not to be my host CPU, but I want to use the N270 because the emulator program, the virtual machine inside of the phone, actually uses this one. So to minimize problems with the Windows installation afterwards, I just from now say I want this one. Yes, I want to apply. Memory reset. For the boot options, CD-ROM should go first, then yes, I want to apply. Then this is the image, this is also the image. I do not want network. No network, remove hardware. So no sound, remove hardware. The rest is fine. Okay, and with that we are ready. We hit and we are ready to install the Windows. Since this is a MicroXP, it's quite fast to actually install. Unpartitioned, we create a partition, full partition, we install on it, and this is the important part, NTFS, because as you saw, the image size is only 1.2 gigabytes. Of course, you can go larger if you want to be safe for the future upgrades, but 1.2 gigabytes only is just fine to fit current 2018 version of the EPC Europe. And the NTFS, which you saw, actually it's 1.7 gigabytes, which is larger. So NTFS has this option to compress, and we want NTFS, it's important. So we are going to see, we are going to do multiple compressions. These compressions will slow down the already slow device, but it's still usable. So don't worry, we are going to add 2 compressions to this thing, so we fall below 1 gigabyte of disk space, and you could go with about 48 megabytes, should be fine. Now I've played a lot while this is actually installing. I can tell you I have played. It did eject the CD for some reason. Yeah, strange. Apply. Oops. Okay, we are back to business. So I did try slimming down even more this MicroXP, because this MicroXP is still it still has a lot. It's made to still be used as a daily operating system, and it still has a lot which you can remove. I was able to shave a lot, like almost 60 megabytes or something like that, and then I got tired. I didn't even finish because it was a painful job. Remove that file, reboot, see if it loads. If it loads, remove the next file, keep track, keep copies, so you can restore if something if it doesn't load. It was pain. So I was able to slim it down so well that with 32 megabytes of memory it was able to load, which is half of what I currently gave. But the time that I spent, it's just not worth it. The thing I'm going to show you right now, it's easy. Install the Windows, do just few tweaks to it to increase performance of the operating system on Android device, and just copy the EPC. That's going to be it. We're almost at the end. So when this loads now, we should be good to go and start doing stuff. Okay. First thing you want to do is change resolution. Because the minimum resolution for the EPC is 800 by 600. Also reduce the bit rate to be easier on the CPU. Then we go here, disable all the services, which doesn't disable all the services. For an instance, plug and play is still there, and this thing you can see it here, safety remove and etc. Which after we actually go to the tablet, may show a dialog with new hardware found. You ignore that dialog because it's pointless, but if you disable the plug and play service, it's going to be fine. Still, I'm not going to bother with that. Next thing you need to do is you need to go and disable visual effects, best performance, and disable the page file, because this gets another 100 megabytes out of your disk space, which we do need. Okay, and there is another visual effect for some reason hidden in here for the menus. And okay, restart the computer. Now when you disable the services, for some reason it starts slower, which is counterintuitive, but it's quite fast anyhow. Now that we have that, we can actually go to my computer and check what we have as disk space. You can see your space is huge. It's just huge. We are going to compress it though. Compress everything and remove the indexing services, so you ignore all here. Remove the indexing service because this is CPU usage which we do not want. Now after compression we have 257 megabytes of used space. I actually probably disabled a lot more because I remember my used space went below 100 megabytes, so I was able to actually shave off compressed to 100 megabytes XP, which is not bad. Now it's time to actually mount the EPC. So we come here, we browse, it's on the home, this one we created, open it up. Okay, apply, go back here, and in this CD-ROM that's what we have. Execute this one, then cut this one, maybe open up another, it's going to be easier, paste it here. How many times did I place it? It just appeared here. Okay, apparently 2 times. Disk is full, was write protected. Something went wrong here. The important thing is it's here. Okay. We copy the Mazda EPC. This is going to take some time. Okay. While this is happening, there is something I actually did forgot to take note of before everything started, and this is how to replace shell on Windows XP. Okay, this is the one we want. Should have been here, but for some reason I forgot to add it. Okay. It says 4 minutes because it's actually copying and compressing at the same time. Okay, so maybe we could actually do this. What this is going to do is we do not want this additional line here on the phone, because phone has a smaller screen. Even though I'm going to show you on a tablet, it has a bigger screen, but still it doesn't have that resolution. So what we are going to do is hit run, regedit, and we want to go to this. Let me see how I'm going to be able to see it. that. Go to local machine, software, Microsoft, Windows NT, current version, Win1Go. And in here there is a shell key, and this says whenever you run the desktop, run explorer.exe as a shell. We do not want the explorer.exe as a shell. First it takes memory. You can see that it actually now takes 3 megabytes. It's actually around 2, but since we have opened also explorers, it takes more, and it's copying. It's usually 1.5 to 2 megabytes of memory being used, which are going to be freed up by not loading it. Instead, what we want to do, we want copy this path but replace it with C, because we are in the C. We are copying into C. Do a slash, find here the Mazda EPC, copy it, paste it here, hit OK. So next time we actually load, when I restart, come on. Of course there's no disk cleanup. Okay. Every time I actually do a live video, it screws up. I tested that like a gazillion times. Okay, let's see if it's working. Maybe it's something useless, and anyhow I already have the virtual machine running. What you also need to do, maybe increase to 1.3. What you also need to do is copy this borland to your program files, and we are not able to copy it. Okay, we need to delete something. What could we delete? I'm going to use this. I already used. There are lots of things you could delete actually from here, especially from the fonts folder. But from the Mazda EPC, can I actually go and delete all the translations? These are translations. They're going to actually save some. Oops. Directly with Shift and Delete. Help files, no thank you. And these are huge. More translations. Fin, and let's see if I can now copy it to the program files. Yes. Okay, I'm able to copy it now. When I was creating the ISO file, it actually truncated the folder names, and this one needs to be renamed to common files. Probably if you do it with proper tools, it won't be like that, but in my case it's like that. So now in the bin folder I should be able to run the Mazda. Yes, I am able to run the Mazda. Let's just check if images are loading. Yeah, no problems. Okay, let me just clean up those languages. Make sure when I restart I have additional space available. 29 megabytes. That's because the page file. Oh man, I didn't remove my page file properly on my computer. We need to hit this of no page file and then set. This will remove the pagefile.sys after reboot. It didn't warn me about reboot. Did I do it properly? Yes, no paging file set. So when I reboot, it should have space. That explains why, because these 100 megabytes did screw me up. Okay, if I now restart, of course not going to use this session because it has issues with some files did not copy. And it directly starts Mazda at full screen. This now is ready to go to an Android phone. What we do actually need to do to explain is on Android we're not going to be able to shut down properly this machine, because now when I exit nothing happens. The reason is you need something to tell the operating system to reboot. The way you do it on a virtual machine is actually send keys, send Control Alt and Delete, and here you have a shutdown, and then you can do shutdown and it's shut down. And on the Android it won't happen. Now let's go and actually see where this drive is. Disk drive, this is the disk drive. Go here, copy it to my home folder. 1.3 gigabytes, because this is in gigabytes, not gigabytes. Even though I said 1.2, it appears as 1.3. And now there's one additional quick step you could do. You could compress this thing. Now, when I was doing this, my virtual must go to another way. Mazda EPC 2. And when you hit it, it's not that slow. It actually compresses even more the image of the Mazda EPC. I already did that. I already placed the image compressed on the tablet, which we're going to see in a bit. One thing you should know about that compression is it works tricky, meaning now we are compressing the image, but it's going to grow that image. Everything is compressed within the image, but everything that is written, newly written by the operating system or the Mazda, doesn't matter, will actually not be compressed. So it's kind of crappy. It should compress it by around below gigabyte. Yes, around that much. It was 7.7 in my case, probably because few files were not copied, but that's fine. You copy this file to your Android phone and we go there to show you how it runs. Okay, that is the tablet I'm going to show you how it runs on. Pretty basic one. I got it with my contract for free. I believe it's a quad core, 1 gigs only of memory, Android 7. This is the model. You can check it out if you want more information. Very basic, very slow at everything. My phone is a little bit faster. It's an old phone, but it has an Android 6.0, still works fine, and it's faster, the emulation. Now, first thing you're going to need is to hide those buttons. As you can see, I already done that. I have a button here for immersive mode, which removes those buttons and the status bar, which are usually there. This button I actually got by installing this app, System UI Tuner, which allows me to actually hide those. It's not convenient for everyday use, but whenever you're actually running the emulation, it's good because otherwise you have this one line here which makes the VM smaller and less readable. It's an optional thing. Now to run the virtual machine you need this Limbo x86 PC emulator. I'll leave a link in the description because they apparently stopped pushing it at the App Store for some reason. I believe they actually stopped developing the product, but built APKs are available on the developers GitHub page. Just check the link in the description. So you install it, you open it, you will need to hit new, but since I already have it, I'll choose it. It's in post state, as you can see. Basically don't change anything, just adjust the amount to 64 megabytes, or you could go less if you want. If you would like, you can go more, but with more, pausing will be slower, resuming will be slower, and it will take that amount of memory to save to the disk space. So the amount you set here, you're going to also require it as a disk space to be able to pause. And you do need to pause because normal loading takes about 10 minutes, while paused you're going to see it's almost instant. Nothing else is changed, so all defaults. Of course, I have chosen the hard disk image, which I copied to the tablet, and this is the only other change I did: high priority. So this VM has a high priority now. I'm actually starting it, and that's it. It's already started. Nice, huh? It's fast to start, about the same time to pause it. And now the performance of the app when you hit model name, it loads. Now this is a secondary load. The first load actually loads like 5 times at least, maybe 10 times slower, until it puts those things into memory. So this is a secondary load, that's why it actually came out that fast, that dialog. So we choose our model, and now let's find the washer tank. Let's say I need to find it by, I want to find it by search, so I'll search here for tank. In order to search, we need the keyboard. To bring up the keyboard, hit the back button, which will make this bar appear on top with certain actions, and hit the keyboard action, and then tank, and hit enter. Hide the keyboard and then full screen again. And now it's searching. Searching takes a little bit of time. Doesn't matter if it's a secondary time or not, searches are not being cached. And that's the result. That's how fast it searches. Nothing to do with, you cannot compare it with the computer. It's way slower, but I believe it's still usable. So by clicking here, I'm actually switching pages, and let's choose this one. This is a tank, which is for 5-door, and it's without headlights cleaner, which used to be my tank. Now I did upgrade it with a bigger version. So you can see here on the image, actually the image is now a little bit smaller, larger, because this is a secondary run, and the secondary run actually remembers what I did as a resizing, because this thing you can resize. So if it actually finished now. Yes, if I go here, come on, hold your finger, this you can resize, and it used to be like that. This was like that as a size, and the image was like that as a size, which is illogical to me. But anyhow, this is the small washer tank, and I have a video how to upgrade it, and as a bonus you actually get the water level meter to flash a light in your eyes in the dashboard, so you know your water is actually running low. So these are all adjustable and they are being remembered. If you use it, they get remembered until you quit the program, but the idea is you're not going to quit the program, because then you need to restart the virtual machine and that takes ages. You're always going to pause it. This 100% button is good, and now I can show you that it also zooms. Everything is normal. You can hover with mouse, see actually what that is, and by holding here and drawing the rectangle, you actually zoom in, which is reasonable. It's fast. And that's pretty much it. You can go hit stop, go to the top level. You can pause at that state the virtual machine, because probably you're going to work on your own car and you do not need to change the VIN number if you have placed it or anything, or you can just hit clear screen and clear everything, including the VIN number. As for the pausing, well, you do this, then pause VM, and those 64 megabytes on this low cannot pause the VM. Okay, that's a new thing. Let's try again. Yes, pause please. Okay, it's now paused. It's quite fast, and when you pause it, it quits and you can restart your phone, doesn't matter, it's still going to be here. And you have to choose it before you actually can hit play. When you play it, it loads. Now if you hit by mistake this, where's my mouse, trackpad enabled, resizing, okay. It's on the bookmark. Okay, so I opened up something that I don't want to do. Close. If you hit this exit button on the Windows, if you do remember, it was not a problem. You could restart the machine, but here you cannot, because in order to do that we need to send Control Alt and Delete to bring up the dialog from where you can say restart. There's no Control Alt and Delete here, there's no send keys. You can bring up the keyboard, and if you install your hacker's keyboard, let's say, which has those buttons, you could do that, but I do not have a spatial keyboard because it takes space and memory of this device, which doesn't have it anyhow. So I'm pretty much screwed, and now I have to just kill the machine and next time start it from scratch, which takes a lot of time. It looks cool though. I can show you at least the beginning of it, because we're not going to read the whole thing. It does look cool. Booting from hard disk. Come on, up. And this bar, which is rarely seen on normal PCs, it's actually almost instantaneous. And there's the Windows XP logo with a progress bar, which you could actually disable or replace with a Mazda logo if you would like, but I decided not to make things more complicated and long, because this video turned out to be very long. So, okay, that's all. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit subscribe. I'll be posting more videos soon. Bye bye.